I do want to thank Michael Martin of Curtis Stokes and Associates. Michael has sponsored this trivia game. He did it for us at the Virtual Fall Rendezvous as well. And a great time was had by all, so he agreed to do that for us again. So thank you to Michael Martin of Curtis Stokes and Associates for sponsoring our trivia game this evening. So a couple of ground rules, so to speak. Each question is worth 40 points. Nope, sorry, there's 40 questions. Each question is worth 50 points, and there is a 25-point bonus to the first 5 correct answers. This leaderboard that you're seeing now will pop up between each question. You can see that it's full right now with everybody with 0 points. That's because we haven't started. There are about 100 of us on here. We obviously can't fit everybody on the screen. So the leaderboard at any given time is only going to show the top 20. So even if you don't see yourself there, it doesn't mean that your scores aren't being recorded. It just means you need to step up your game a little bit so that we can do a better job and get you on the board there. So without further delay, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and kick us off and get started here. And here we go. Question number 1. How many active memberships does AGLCA currently have? Is it just under 1,000 memberships? Just under 2,500 memberships? Just under 5,000 memberships, or just under 10,000? Remember, a membership can be shared by a couple. And the correct answer, just under 5,000, and more than half of you got that right, so congratulations. We have grown tremendously over the past few years. And as of February 1st, our number was 4,816 memberships. So there you go. And you can see some of you who got it right there. Question number 2, when is the next scheduled major lock closure on the Great Loop route? Is it in 2021, 2022, 2023, or 2024? And I'll give you a hint, that is once again going to be on the Illinois Waterway. So which year is that happening? And it is 2023. A good percentage of you got that correct. We're expecting the same types of dates that we saw last year. So roughly a July through October closure again on the Illinois Waterway in 2023. So if that's your time frame, be on the lookout for that. And you can see our leaderboard there. Next question, what canal connects Lake Ontario with Lake Erie? Is it the Erie Canal, the Welland Canal, the Champlain Canal, or the Ontario Canal? What canal connects Lake Ontario with Lake Erie? And that, of course, is the Welland Canal, one that is not frequently done by loopers unless the Canadian border is closed, in which case more loopers do take the Welland so that they can get from Lake Ontario into Lake Erie. So a small change, I think, to some of the positions on our leaderboard. And our next question, the Big Chute Marine Railway is a lock on what waterway? Is the Big Chute on the Richelieu Canal, the Rideau Canal, sorry about the spelling there, the Trent-Severn Canal, or the Erie Canal? Which canal is the Big Chute on? And that, of course, is the Trent-Severn. Well done. Almost 86% of you got that one correct. And looking again at our leaderboard, the Faraback family and Mark and Catherine Benno continue to be at the top there of that leaderboard. Next question, what is the lowest fixed bridge on the Great Loop? I'm sorry, where is the lowest fixed bridge on the Great Loop that you cannot bypass by taking an alternate route? Is that lowest fixed bridge on the Chicago River, the Illinois Waterway, the Erie Canal, or the Champlain Canal? And that, of course, is on the Illinois Waterway. The Chicago River has a low bridge, but it can be bypassed by taking the CalSag route. So that 19-foot bridge that you hear so much about is on the Illinois Waterway at mile marker 300. And the Faraback family takes the lead to themselves. Next question, what is the waterway that runs from Fort Myers to Stuart, Florida? And we covered this in one of our route briefings on the very first evening. The waterway that runs from Fort Myers to Stuart is the St. Johns River, the Okeechobee, the Straits of Florida, or the Gulf of Mexico. Very good. The Okeechobee is the correct answer there. And I'm glad to see nobody thought it was the Gulf of Mexico. And Mark and Catherine jump back up to tie with the Fairback family for first place. True or false, the rim route through Lake Okeechobee offers the deepest water. So if you have a little bit of a deep draft and you're doing Lake Okeechobee, should you take the rim route? The rim route has the deepest water on Lake Okeechobee. True or false? And that, of course, is false. That was also presented last week, where the rim route is about 2 feet more shallow than the route number 1 as was presented. So well done. Next question. Instead of going straight across the Gulf in one trip, some loopers will take a few hops along the Florida Panhandle to Southwest Florida. What is that route called? Is it the Armpit, the Swamp, the Big Bend, or the Florida Loop? So those who choose not to do that long overnight Gulf crossing, what's that route called? The Big Bend, of course. And that is 76% of you got that right, so congratulations. Almost a little more than 3/4. And our leaderboard hasn't changed a whole lot. But the Fairback family and Mark and Catherine are pulling away a little bit with that lead there. Next question. Which of these cities has never hosted an AGLCA spring rendezvous? Beaufort, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, New Bern, North Carolina, or St. Augustine, Florida? Which has never hosted a spring rendezvous? And this is kind of a tough one because it's been in Norfolk, Virginia for quite some time. The correct answer is St. Augustine. Very good. About half of you got that correct. It was in Charleston maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Same thing with Beaufort way back. It was in New Bern about 5 or 6 years ago when a remodel was being done at the facility in Norfolk. So well done, people. Next question. Which of the following are nicknames for the areas of Florida's East Coast? So Dave covered this some today. The Space Coast, the Treasure Coast, the First Coast, or all of the above. So which of those are nicknames for areas of Florida's East Coast? And the answer, of course, is all of the above. Moving on to the next question. Of course, our leaderboard first, and Mark and Catherine take the lead on that one. All right, next question. Which of these states has the most miles of coastline that you'll travel on the Great Loop? So which of the 4 has the most coastline on the Great Loop? Florida, Wisconsin, New York, or Georgia? This one's kind of easy, I think. And that, of course, is Florida. A little bit of a change again to our leaderboard. Next question. What is the next face-to-face AGLCA event? So is it the 2021 Spring Rendezvous, the 2021 Fall Rendezvous, a Looper Lifestyle Seminar planned for June, or is it still unknown when the next face-to-face event will be? Still unknown. The spring is not looking good. The state of Virginia at this point still has a 10-person maximum on gatherings, and it was slated for Virginia. We normally would be opening registration right about now. So not looking good for the spring. The answer is we still don't know. As soon as possible, though. Next question. Services often provided by harbor hosts include recommendations on local services, rides for provisioning, they will accept packages, or all of the above. What do our harbor hosts typically do for other members? First 100% question, and I love to hear that about harbor hosts, that people are familiar with the program. So yes, 100%. Most of them will do those things for you, and a lot of them will go even far above and beyond that as well. Next question. What newspapers have recently included articles about the Great Loop? The New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, or all of the above? So which of those national newspapers have had articles about the Great Loop in recent years? And the answer is all of the above. You can find all of those on the AGLCA website. There's a page for In the Media where we put links to all the various news articles that our members are featured in. And our next question, back to the Trent Severn Waterway. A boat with a 24-foot beam can do the Trent Severn. Is that true or false? A boat with a 24-foot beam can do the Trent Severn. Ooh, a 50-50 split. That is false. The narrowest lock on the Trent Severn is actually 23 feet. So if you've got a 24-foot beam, you cannot do the Trent Severn, but you can still do the Great Loop. You just have to take one of those alternate routes. Moving right along, the next question is, how many burgee colors does AGLCA have? 3, 4, 5, or 6? How many different color burgees are there? Ooh, the answer is 6. There are of course, the white, the gold, and the platinum for our members, and then there's green, blue, and red for our sponsors. So the correct answer is 6. That was a very small percentage, but our leaderboard still has not changed significantly. Next question, the mile markers on the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway increase as you cruise south. True or false? The mile markers on the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway increase as you cruise south. And that is, of course, true. Almost 73% got that correct. Well done. And the Faraback family is back on top. Next question, you must have a dinghy to cruise the Great Loop. True or false? You must have a dinghy to cruise the Great Loop. Excellent. False. Yes. Many people do have a dinghy and use it quite a bit, but you can do the loop without a dinghy, particularly if you plan to be in marinas most of the time. And the Faraback family is ahead by 75 points. Mark and Catherine Benno just a little bit behind them. And then Dave Merchberger right behind there. All right, some questions about Chicago. The locks in Chicago are open year-round. True or false? We know it gets pretty cold in Chicago, but are the locks in Chicago open year-round? True or false? They are open year-round. That is true. The locks in Chicago do remain open year-round, even though it gets rather cold up there. And moving right along, we've got to take another quick look at our leaderboard. Next question is also about Chicago, and it is true or false. The marinas in Chicago are open year-round. Is that true or false? Chicago marinas are open year-round. That is false. The Chicago marinas in the city of Chicago typically close in mid-October because of the cold. However, there are some outside of the city, specifically Hammond, Indiana, which is one of our AGLCA sponsors, does stay open year-round. But in Chicago, they do close. And another Chicago true-false question. The bridges in downtown Chicago open on demand. True or false? We talked about the fact that there are low bridges on the Chicago River. Do they open on demand? If you think that they do open on demand, answer true. If not, that would be false. And that is false. The bridges on the Chicago River, because of the car traffic, do not open on demand. They do open twice a year, once to let the sailboats through in the spring and once to let them back the other way in the fall from kind of their winter storage to their summertime cruising grounds. So that's the deal with the bridges. Next question, how many Looper boats reported completion of the route to AGLCA in 2020? Was it 104, 162, 312, or 475? What do you think is the number of Looper boats that reported completion in 2020? And the correct number there is 104. I'm not surprised that many of you guessed 162 because that is more what we would have expected had it not been a COVID year and had the Canadian-US border not been closed and had the Illinois waterway not been closed. So for the boats that stuck with it, we had 104 report completion. Next question, which of the following is not a side trip you can do while on the loop? The Tennessee River, Lake Superior, the Potomac River, or the San Juan Islands, which is not a Great Loop side trip? And everyone got that one. I'm happy to hear that. The San Juans, of course, are on the West Coast, and those others are all connected waterways to the Great Loop. All right, next question. What is the Erie Canal's typical operating season? Is it typically opened mid-May through early October, only June, July, and August, early April through Thanksgiving, or is it open year-round? What is the typical operating season for the Erie Canal? And that is, of course, mid-May through early October. We are hearing that there are some proposals to shorten that pretty drastically this year. It may not open until Memorial Day, so that will be a big change. And as I said, be looking for information about that and some advocacy efforts to try and impact some change there. Next question, loopers currently have an exception that allows them to cross the US-Canadian border. True or false? Loopers have an exception that allows them to cross the US-Canadian border. Yep, that is false. Wish that were true. Wish we had the power to make it true. We sadly do not, and the border remains closed at this point from both directions because of COVID. So we've got lots of Canadian members who would love to cross into the US and lots of US citizens who would love to cross into Canada. It's just not happening yet. Next question, cell service is poor in many areas of the loop and you should prepare to be off the grid for much of the trip. Is that true or false? Cell service is poor in many areas of the loop and you should be prepared to be off the grid for much of the trip. Excellent, that is false. There are very few places at this point that cell service is not available. Of course, that's going to depend on your service provider, but as each year goes by, there are more and more, or I should say fewer and fewer dead spots along the Great Loop where you won't have coverage. Next question, if your air draft is 17 feet, which route will you take into the Great Lakes? Will you take the Erie Canal to Lake Erie? Will you take the Erie Canal to the Oswego Canal to Lake Ontario? Or will you take the Champlain Canal to the St. Lawrence River to Lake Ontario? Or is it both B and C? Choices of B and C. And most of you got, well, close to half of you got that right. It's B or C. And that all has to do with the clearances on the different waterways. And there's another look at our leaderboard, a few new entrants I think I'm seeing there. And continuing on, more people swim the English Channel than complete the Great Loop each year. Is that true or false? More people swim the English Channel than complete the Great Loop each year. That is true. The Great Loop is finishing it is still more unique than lots of other adventures like swimming the English Channel, climbing Mount Everest, etc. All right, next question. True or false? Marinas are available everywhere on the loop, so you don't need to be prepared to anchor. Is that true or false? Marinas are available everywhere on the Great Loop, so you don't need to be prepared to anchor. And that is false. You need to be prepared to anchor as a safety precaution should you lose power or anything along that line. So you do absolutely need to be prepared to anchor. There are a few stretches where it's 100+ miles between marinas. So depending on how fast you travel, it's possible you could do that stretch without anchoring, but most loopers will anchor on a few occasions. Next question, you must do the loop continuously to earn your gold burgee. Is that true or false? Excellent. I'm so glad to see 100%. That is false. You can do the loop over as many years or whatever time frame that you choose, taking breaks in between for as long as you would like. And moving on to our next question. Similarly, this one is another true or false. You must complete the entire Great Loop aboard the same boat to earn your gold burgee. Is that true or false? This question came up in our Facebook group just a few days ago, I think. And that, of course, is also false. We've had many loopers along the way who have decided, for one reason or another, to switch boats and pick up and continue where they left off and earn their gold burgee when they've completed the route. And our next question. What was the last face-to-face event AGLCA held prior to COVID? Was it the 2019 Fall Rendezvous, the 2019 Spring Rendezvous, the 2020 Looper-palooza, or the 2019 Winter Rendezvous? Which of those was the last face-to-face event that AGLCA had? And it was actually the 2020 Looper-palooza. So 1 year ago, we were actually in Fort Myers doing this in person, and there actually is no such thing as a winter rendezvous, although Looper-palooza is somewhat like that, but it was actually the 2020 Looper-palooza was the last one we were able to do face-to-face. So we sure miss being there with all you guys at this time of year. Next question, what popular side trip allows you to visit Chattanooga? Is that the Tennessee River, the Potomac River, the Cumberland River, or the Ohio River? Which popular side trip takes you to Chattanooga? And that is the Tennessee River. The Cumberland River is near there and done kind of the same time of year. That one will take you to Nashville. And the next question, AGLCA's 7-part Safe Boating webinar series is available free of charge to members. Is that true or false? AGLCA's Safe Boating webinar series is available free of charge to members. And that is true. That is actually going on Saturdays right now, but the recordings, if you're not registered for the class, which is full, the recordings are being released as they're finished. So the next one should be in about 2 weeks from now. We should have that recording ready for you. Great series being led by Robert Rice, who may have joined us this evening because he is registered for Looper-palooza, but he's doing a fabulous job on that. Next question. What town along the loop was listed in Travel and Leisure's 2019 list of most charming small towns to visit? Was it Beaufort, South Carolina, Paducah, Kentucky, Waterford, New York, or Carabel, Florida? Travel and Leisure's most charming small towns. It was Paducah, Kentucky. And as a South Carolina girl, I would have guessed Beaufort as well, but Paducah is really an up-and-coming town, and it's got some great restaurants according to our members. One of the favorite small towns on the loop as rated by our members. So Paducah, Kentucky is now a must-see along the way. Next question, what is the average size of the boats in AGLCA's fleet? Is the average 32, 36, 40, or 44 feet? And this has remained consistent over the last, as long as we've been tracking it, it's remained consistent. What is the average size boat? And it is 40 feet. So the majority of you got that correct. And I'm not sure how many questions we have left, but I think we're reaching the tail end here. Next question, where is Cumberland Island? Is that in Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, or South Carolina? Where will you find Cumberland Island? And Cumberland Island is Georgia. And Tennessee, I'm not surprised, was a popular answer because of the Cumberland River, but Cumberland Island is in Georgia. Next question. Many loopers cross to the Bahamas in October. Is that true or false? And if you watched the Costa's route briefing about a side trip to the Bahamas, you probably heard this. Is October true or false? Many loopers cross to the Bahamas in October. Excellent. That is false. You do not want to do it typically in October due to hurricane season. So most loopers will wait out hurricane season and tend to go December, January, February timeframe as a safer time to do that crossover to the Gulf. Next question. Most loopers prefer the Tenn-Tom route over the lower Mississippi because the lower Mississippi has a lot of commercial traffic, has fewer fuel stops, has fewer facilities for recreational vessels, or all of the above. Why do people prefer the Tenn-Tom? Correct, all of the above. The lower Mississippi is not known for being very pleasure boat friendly, and that is the primary reason that people prefer the Tenn-Tom. So there has definitely been some movement in the leaderboard, but those top two spots have remained pretty consistent. Next question, a gold square on a red day mark means what? And this is our final question. A gold square on a red day mark means what? Caution? Does it mean you're on the intracoastal waterway? Does it mean turn to starboard, or does it mean slow down? What does that gold square on a red day mark mean? Correct, it means you are on the intracoastal waterway, and 87.3% of you got that right. Which brings us to our final leaderboard, and the winner for this evening is the Faraback family. So congratulations to them, and a close second and a very well played game by Mark and Catherine Benno. Third goes to Scott and Shelley Johnson. So congratulations to all. Thank you so much for playing along with us. We hope that you enjoyed the time.